In other news, the 28th session of the Conference of the Parties within the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change opened doors on Thursday over in Dubai, and a remarkable feat on day one appears to be fueling quite a bit of optimism. Our Lee Eun-jin reports.
Every year, the COP meets to determine ambition and responsibilities for climate change and to identify and assess measures to address climate change. This year's conference, COP28, is being hosted by the United Arab Emirates. And this year's COP President Sultan Al-Jaber shook up the meeting by kicking off the conference with a deal on day one. Delegates agreed to proceed with actualizing a fund to help compensate vulnerable countries coping with loss and damage caused by climate change. Such deals are normally sealed at the last minute after days of negotiations.
The fact that we have been able to achieve such significant milestone in the first day of this COP is unprecedented. This is historic. The fact that we were able to get the agenda voted and agreed on without any delay for those who have been involved in previous COPs, this is just unprecedented.
As Al-Jaber celebrated the momentum behind the agenda as historic, Executive Secretary of UN Climate Change Simon Steele also emphasized that the result did not happen overnight, and it was decades of discussions that led to an agreement at COP27 in Egypt in 2022, which ultimately came to fruition this year.
The discussions were challenging. This is 30 years worth of discussion which concluded in Sharm el-Sheikh last year. With today's news on loss and damage gives this UN climate conference a running start.
Following the adoption of the agreement, a handful of countries made pledges for contributions to the startup phase of the fund. Of the 197 countries represented at COP28, the UAE and Germany have each pledged $100 million. Other EU member states have together pledged $125 million, followed by the United Kingdom's pledge of around $50 million, while the United States pledged $17.5 million and Japan $10 million. Several countries had objected to the World Bank engaging in managing the funds, but all parties ultimately agreed on the condition that the World Bank's oversight would be temporary, lasting for 4 years. Discussions and negotiations are expected to continue throughout the 2 weeks of the COP28 conference, which runs until December 12th. Lee Eun-jin, Arirang News.